It seems like with every new iPhone announcement, Apple is taking shots or giving reasons why the iPhone itself is your next professional camera. Like for the last, 4 keynotes, they've been filming exclusively on an iPhone. Artists such as Olivia Rodrigo and The Weeknd have also had music videos made exclusively with iPhone. And with the announcement, we get more cinematic upgrades. Cinematic. But does this mean that it's time to ditch your $1,200 mirrorless camera to shoot with something like this? Let's talk about it. Since the launch of the iPhone 13 Pro, Apple's pushed its cinematic features and claiming its near, if not perfect, pro industry features. Cinematic mode was heavily touted with ProRes back then, and now, even with the most recent upgrades, things are only progressing forward. Like, I admit, the 16 Pro is packed full of a ton of features, right? And I'm honestly considering upgrading from my 14 Pro Max. But is it really worth it? In this video, I want to talk about just what Apple announced this week and what's changed since it went cinematic, and if it's actually really worth being compared to something of like a real camera at the same price point. So this is my iPhone 16 Pro preview. So what was exactly announced yesterday at the iPhone event? Well, the iPhone itself comes in either a 6.3 or 6.9 option. Screen-wise, the bezels are just a bit smaller, and because of that, the screen size is slightly increased. It still has its titanium body. It also brings a brand new A18 Pro chip, which brings 2 times ray tracing abilities, and honestly is the perfect power for Apple Intelligence. Still though, uses USB-C 3. I wish I had Thunderbolt, but that's another story. And it does have a new 48 megapixel ultra wide lens. It still has the 5x telephoto lens, which is pretty cool because it's a telescopic lens that's built in. And it still has the action button from last year. Now, one of the newest features it has, and obviously this phone won't have it, but on the side here where you typically see the antenna chip, this right here is a brand new camera control button. It also has the power to do 4K 120 cinematic mode. And with all of that, it still starts at $999 for the 16 Pro and $1199 for the Pro Max. You also get bigger changes coming through in software that's exclusive to the 16 Pros. Altogether, like, this is becoming a much more powerful device. This is the first place where Apple usually will take shots at mirrorless cameras, touting the different lens options. If you watch my last video about the iPhone 15, you'll know exactly what I mean when Apple compares professional camera systems, setups, and lenses to the iPhone. Like, on paper, the cameras, they all tend to stack up quite well, honestly, and this year it's no different. So with 4K 120 cinematic mode, this is honestly where Apple shines as both a hardware and a software company. Like, cinematic mode was always made to be this cool feature that allowed users to choose what's in focus and give that amount of bokeh or blur. So everything else is just a little bit blurred out in the scene, right? And it gives you the ability to shift focuses either at the time of recording or during your edit. And with Apple increasing this from originally being a 4K 30 to now up to 120, it just amplifies the possibilities of how to use it and when you can use it. Like, you could even see in their announcement just how well it captured live action scenes, right? And it gave users an easy ability to change the frame rate that best suited their project. Whether you want to go 120, maybe you want to go a little bit more slow with 60, go down to 30 or even 24. So combining this with the new camera control button, and honestly, this is truly where I say Apple's iPhone starts to compete with the mirrorless camera. Like, I mean, honestly, camera control, it acts like your shutter button. Literally one for one. You're able to half down press, then full press to take your shot. You could actually slide on it either left or right to zoom in or open up wider. You could change your aperture through there. You could change your ISO or your light sensitivity. All of that being able to be done right here on your phone. Just a little half press slide. Like, these devices are really going head to head now. So given the starting price point of $999, it's only fair to compare something like this to an equivalent camera. This, I mean, this is a Nikon Z6, is comparable, right? But you're looking more like a Sony ZV-E10, maybe a Nikon Z30 or a Z50, and a Canon R100. Those would be very good comparisons. And in my past videos, I've compared starter mirrorless cameras, like I said, of those Sony, Nikon, and Canon variety. They all start sub $1,000. And from there, you can really still get a really amazing video and photos. But how does the iPhone itself stack up? With respect to the mirrorless cameras, you only do get basic kit lenses, which is like a 16 or 18 to 50 millimeters. And that caps you at 4K 30, or if you're lucky, 4K 60 recording. Now, any focusing that has to be done during the shoot. If you don't focus on your subject during that shoot, you can't go back and edit. There's no magic sauce like that. But if you get better lenses, you could cover the distance. You spend a little bit more money, and you get a lot more bokeh when you get a lens like something like this, which is a 2.8. You're gonna get a lot more of that blur action. Versus $4,000, you could get all that included with your phone. Like, this is where the iPhone has a more immediate advantage. You get immediate access to all those different ranges of cameras, right? And you also get the ability to shoot up to 4K 120. And you can edit your focus subject post filming and during filming. So if you make a mistake while you're filming, you can make that edit after the fact. Whereas something like this, you gotta go back for reshoots. Now, the only drawbacks to something like this is you're fixed. You get your trinity of lenses right here. You can't upgrade it. And the camera itself, like in phones, like the phone sensors are good. iPhone is amazing as far as for photos. Same with like the Pixel. But anytime you use a phone, like the sensor is small as hell. And it's not going to be up to par with something like this. And when it comes to like bokeh or that background blur, it's artificial. It's AI post-processing trying to make it look real, whereas this is the real deal. Like this is legit. This does give a user that $2,000 kit feel for half the price. And you get everything else like you do with a phone, right? But if I'm looking at spending $2,100 alone, probably the closest I can get with the power of this would be like a Sony FX30, and then with a kit lens, and that comes out to about $2,100. But that would give me the power to shoot 4K 120, just like this phone. Okay, so the real question is, does this make me want to ditch this? Can the iPhone really replicate the camera? Last time I said it's close, but no, not yet. I'm not ditching this bad boy. I do want to say this though. I think for anybody who's getting into content creation or just deciding if it's something they want to venture to, and you're looking, hey, is the new iPhone the best choice for me? Hands down, if you are just dabbling and you want to try it out, the iPhone is that and more. Whether you're doing regular photography or just like everyday selfies, or really wanting to create content. I know people who run 3.5 million subscriber YouTube channels, and all they film and record with and edit is on a phone. That's how they started, and they still to this day use iPhones for that. So if it came down to I only had one decision to make, do I go all in or do I get something that could get me by and even look just as good? I'm going to go with the iPhone. If you're a professional and you're thinking, can I replace this with this? I mean, besides, unfortunately, our social, entity, our social dynamic is going to laugh at you if you pull this out at a wedding. This is going to still be your best bet. But that doesn't negate the fact that the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max are coming up. They are becoming contenders. And if you're on the fence and you have maybe like a 13 or even lower, and you want those pro features, especially when it comes to camera editing, AI photography editing, stuff like that, definitely I would upgrade in a heartbeat. Did you see the new iPhone event? Do you even care as it Android did it first? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions or you want more in-depth looks at stuff, drop it in there. And if not, watch this next video over here, because all of that helps support this channel, and I appreciate anybody who stopped by. I'm Joe. This has been Mods Excel, and until the next one, peace.